Kiddushin 76b. He interprets his statement as referring to a Levite woman or an Israelite woman about whom the Mishnah states that one must investigate one additional generation. Therefore, Rav Ada bar Ahava's ruling accords with that of the Mishnah. But shall we say the Brisa disputes the Mishnah? The Gemara rejects this. No. What is the meaning of the Mishnah's phrase, one additional? It means one pair. In other words, two more mothers on each side. Rav Yehuda says that Rav says this Mishnah presents the statement of Rabbi Meir, but the rabbis say all families retain a presumptive status of fitness and do not require investigation. The Gemara asks, if that is so, did Rav really say this? But doesn't Rav Hama bar Guria say that Rav says our Mishnah is referring only to a case when an objection was registered about the family concerning its lineage? But if no objection was registered, everyone agrees that the family retains its presumptive status or fitness. The Gemara answers, the one who taught this statement in the name of Rav did not teach that other statement. There are those who say that this discussion occurred as follows. Rav Yehuda says that Rav says, this Mishnah presents the statement of Rabbi Meir, but the rabbis say all families retain presumptive status of fitness. Rav Chama bar Guria says that Rav says, when an objection is registered about a family concerning its lineage, everyone agrees that he must investigate it. According to this version, there is no contradiction between these two complementary statements. The Mishnah teaches that one need not investigate from the altar and above. The Gemara asks, what is the reason for this? The Gemara answers, if the Sanhedrin had not examined his lineage, they would not have allowed him to ascend to the altar and perform the sacrificial rites. The Mishnah further teaches, nor must one investigate from the platform and above. The Gemara asks, what is the reason? The Gemara answers, it is as the Master said in his description of the temple chambers, Tosefta Chagiga 2:4. For there, in the hewn chamber, those of the priesthood with unflawed lineage and the Levites of unflawed lineage sat and examined the lineage of everyone who came to serve in the temple. The Mishnah also taught, nor must one investigate from the Sanhedrin and above. What is the reason? There is no need to investigate further. The Gemara answers, it is as Rav Yosef taught, that just as the court is clean in justice, so too it is clean of any blemish. In other words, it does not include anyone of flawed lineage. Maramar said, what is the verse from which it is derived? It states, you are all fair, my love, and there is no blemish in you. Song of Songs 4:7. Kulach yafa rayati mumum ein bach. Song of Songs 4:7. The Gemara asks, but perhaps you should say that this is referring to an actual blemish, that one who has a physical blemish may not be appointed to the Sanhedrin. Rav Acha bar Yaakov said, it is not necessary to derive the halacha that one who has a physical blemish may not be appointed to the Sanhedrin from this verse, as the verse states with regard to the transfer of the divine spirit from Moses to the elders, that they may stand there with you. Numbers 11:16. And the phrase with you is explained to mean with similarity to you, teaching that the members of the Sanhedrin must be whole in body like Moses. The Gemara rejects this proof, but perhaps those who were with Moses had to be free of any blemish due to the divine presence, which rested upon them. This is not a requirement for judges on the Sanhedrin. Rav Nachman said that the verse says, so shall they make it easier for you and bear the burden with you, Exodus 18:22. The phrase, with you, is explained to mean with similarity to you, in other words, without blemish. This verse is referring to the appointment of regular judges upon whom the divine presence does not rest, and teaches that all members of the Sanhedrin must be whole in body. The verse of the Song of Solomon, of Song of Songs, teaches that they must be of unfallen lineage as well, upon whom the divine presence rests. Should be with rest. Might be a mistake there, but anyway. The Mishnah teaches anyone whose ancestors held public posts may marry into the priesthood without investigation. The Gemara asks, is this to say that we do not establish officers and other public appointees from people with flawed lineage? And the Gemara raises a contradiction from the following statement. All are fit to judge cases of monetary law, but not all are fit to judge cases of capital law. And we discussed it. What does the word all serve to include? And Rav Yehuda says it serves to include a mamzer, that he may judge cases of monetary law. This indicates that even a mamzer may occupy a public position. Abaye said the Mishnah is referring to public officials in Jerusalem, where they were particular that all their judges should be of unflawed lineage. And Rav Shimon bar Ze'era similarly taught in the Brisa of Kiddushin from the school of Levi, is referring to public officials in Jerusalem. The Mishnah teaches, and anyone whose ancestors were charity collectors may marry into the priesthood without investigation. The Gemara asks, what is the reason for this? The Gemara answers, it is due to the fact that they quarrel with people, as the Master said, those appointed to collect charity may forcibly take collateral for charity from those who have not fulfilled their obligations, even on the eve of Shabbat, when people are preoccupied and rushed, leading to quarrels. And if that is so, and if it is so that there is a flaw in the lineage of a collector's family, it would generate publicity through the quarrels that are unavoidable aspects of this job. The Gemara relates, Rav Ada bar Ahava's host was the son of a convert, and he and Rav Bivi were quarreling. One said, I will perform the service of the city. In other words, I will be appointed to a position of authority. One said, I will perform the service of the city. They came before Rav Yosef to decide between them. Rav Yosef said to them, we learned, you shall set him a king over you, whom the Lord your God shall choose from among your brothers. Deuteronomy 17:15. The repetition of the verb set in the verse Som Tasim indicates all appointments that you appoint may only be from among your brothers. Therefore, a convert may not serve in any official position. Rav Ada bar Ahava said to Rav Yosef, and does this halacha apply even if the mother of the person in question is born Jewish? In other words, does this apply to one whose father is a convert? Rav Yosef said to him, if his mother is born Jewish, the words from among your brothers are said about him. Therefore, now that it has been determined that this person's mother was born Jewish, and that he is fit to serve a public role, Rav Bivi, who is a great man in Torah learning, should oversee the matters of heaven. In other words, the public issues that involve performance of mitzvot, and the master, Rav Ada bar Ahava's host, should oversee other matters of the city. Abaye said, as a moral of the story, therefore, if one has a Torah scholar as a guest, let him host a person such as Rav Ada bar Ahava, who knows how to plead in his favor, as it was the argument of Rav Ada bar Ahava that led to his host's appointment. The Gemara relates, Rav Zera would deal with converts and assign them to positions of authority. Similarly, Rabba bar Avu would deal with them. In the West, Eretz Yisrael, they would not establish even an appointee over measurements from them, as they extended the prohibition against appointing a convert as a king to include all positions of power. In Narda, they would not establish even an appointee over irrigation of the city's fields from them. The Mishnah teaches that Rav Yossi says, even the descendants of one who had signed as a witness in the old court of Tzipori does not need to have their lineage investigated. The Gemara explains, what is the reason for this? The Gemara answers, in that city, they would first examine witnesses and only afterward have them sign. Consequently, anyone who signed as a witness in Sippori must certainly have been of unflawed lineage. The Mishnah teaches that Rabbi Hanina ben Antignas says, even the descendants of one who has written in the army list of the Jewish king does not have their lineage investigated. Rav Yehuda says that Shmuel says the reference is to one who was written in the list of the military troops of the house of David, who were all of pure lineage. Rav Yosef said, what is the verse from which it is derived? The phrase is, reckoned by lineage for service in war. 1 Chronicles 7:40. The Gemara asks, and what is the reason for this requirement that they be of unflawed lineage? Rav Yehuda says that Rav says it is in order that their merit and the merit of their ancestors will help them in battle. The Gemara asks, but isn't there Zelek the Ammonite, one of David's warriors, 2 Samuel 23:37? What is it not indicated that he was a convert who came from Ammon? The Gemara rejects this. No, his name indicates only that he dwelled in Ammon, but he was born a Jew. The Gemara asks, but isn't there Uriah the Hittite, 2 Samuel 23:39? What is that not indicated that he came from Heth? The Gemara rejects this. No, his name only indicates that he dwelled in Heth. The Gemara further asks, but isn't there Ittai the Gittite? 2 Samuel 15:19. If you would say that, so too his name indicates that he dwelled in Gath, but he was born a Jew. But doesn't Rav Nachman say, to explain how David could make use of the crown of the idol of Ammon in apparent violation of the prohibition against deriving benefit from idolatry? Ittai the Gittite came and nullified its status of an idol. Halacha is that only a Gentile can nullify an idol by doing something degrading to it. This indicates that Ittai the Gittite must have been a Gentile. The Gemara again questions the statement that all of the soldiers in David's army were of unflawed lineage. And further, Rav Yehuda says that Rav says David had 400 youths in his camp, all sons of beautiful women, in other words, born to women captured in war, Yifas Torah, who were therefore Gentiles, all of whom had their haircut in the Kome style, or who grew their hair in the Gentile hairstyle, Belorit, on the back of their heads, and all of them sat in gold carts, and who would march at the head of troops in David's army. And these very ones were the strong men of the house of David. In other words, David would rely on their strength. This states that David's army included men of flawed lineage. The Gemara answers, these 400 youths did not fight in the battles, but rather they would go forth in front of the troops in order to frighten everyone.